No, this is not an Arab mosque located in Lebanon or some other Middle Eastern country. This one is located in the shadow of the Ford Rouge plant, and its members live right here in the south end of Dearborn. Dearborn, Michigan has become the largest port of entry for Arab immigrants and refugees in the entire United States. It is estimated that 10,000 Arabs call the South End their home, with the vast majority sharing a common, painful bond for being here in this country, the war in the Middle East. Over the past 13 years, when the Middle East conflict was at its greatest, Dearborn experienced its largest influx of Arab immigrants and refugees. Utmost in their minds was survival and the hope of beginning a new life, like scores of immigrant groups who came here before them. And just where is the South End? Well, it's here, located on the southernmost tip of Dearborn, bordering the ethnically mixed area of southeast Detroit. On closer inspection, you can see the South End is a virtual enclave, bordered on the west by the massive Ford Rouge plant, on the north by an industrial slag company, and on the remaining two sides by a cemetery. Only Dix Avenue splits the area running east and west. The families who live here are the traditional extended families, the grandparents, their sons and daughters, the spouses, and the grandchildren and cousins, often all living under the same roof. The reasons are both social and economic in nature.
I guarantee you if there wasn't a war back there, half of the people wouldn't be here, because we do have a better lifestyle there.
Usually the father will come and work in the factory and bring, as soon as possible, he lives with a cousin or a relative, saves as much as possible, sending it all back there, and as soon as possible a young son comes and the two of them get a small apartment and work, and within a year or two the whole family's here.
Having other members of your family or your extended family around makes it much easier for people to adjust to their new lifestyles.
It comes in handy when there's a crisis.
And despite the strength in numbers, the daily crises these new Americans face are equally difficult to foresee and equally tough to handle.
They come over here and they're a nobody. That's number one. And then they can't talk to anybody. That's number two. You know, what do?
They come to the Arab Community Center. I'm one of the founders of the Arab Community Center Access, and they come for all kinds of problems. Where do I go for translation? What does this letter mean? I don't understand this. My son's sick, my daughter's sick, I don't feel good, I don't know what to do.
They come here hoping for decent housing, and the house right on the corner of this block has a whole bunch of people living it, and some people even sharing beds. In other words, shifts.
A simple transaction like paying a bill may be monumental to them. You know, what is this? You know, I said, well, I think maybe you're getting your phone disconnected, you know.
For a lot of the people, the land that was supposed to be the alternative to what they came from, it isn't an alternative. And I think there's a hostility there.
And some of these hostilities carried over toward the city of Dearborn and the man who ran it. For 34 years, Orville Hubbard ran Dearborn, Michigan with an iron hand, and much to the outrage of many of South End residents. They resent what he said about them, and they bitterly opposed Hubbard's plans for urban renewal, a renewal that threatened their very existence.
We live on private industrial property, and we're bounded on all sides by, you know, the expressways, and we're as close to the waterway as you can get. The railroads are nearby, and of course there's already industry here, and you know, poor people can usually be expendable. You know, they can move them out much easier than moving out wealthier families.
After my parents got married, they eventually ended up living on Rouleau with my grandparents, my mother's parents. The house that my parents were living in when I was born was in an area that was rezoned industrial and is now under those cement piles.
The older administration always wanted to eliminate the community. I think I remember at once that Hubbard sort of said, well, let them pick up their tents and just move away.
Yes, there was aggressive removal, particularly in the mid to late 60s.
South End residents took the city to court, and they won a reprieve against further industrialization in their area. City policy changed when the new administration arrived.
With a new mayor, Mayor O'Reilly, and the federal court decisions and all the guidelines you have with HUD on block grants, the direction is going residential.
This community will survive no matter what.
We're committed to stay, and the businessmen are committed to revitalize.
because what you have here is a very cohesive group of people that enjoy living here, they enjoy their neighbors, and they want to stay here.
This willingness to fight for their own community carries over into their political views on the war-torn Middle East, which of course is their homeland. Recently, we visited a Palestinian coffee house, the Beit Hanina social club in the Southend, and we found many bitterly outspoken individuals and a great deal of anger when we talked about Israel, Zionism, U.S. foreign policy, the Mideast War, and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO.
We, as Palestinians here, have for a long time been inhibited from speaking out. The reason we feel strongly about speaking out now, because we feel it's our duty as American citizens to open the eyes of the American public as to the legitimacy of our case.
See you in 2 weeks, Tuesday night, November the 6th at 7:30. Bill Bonds reporting. Good night, everybody.